All right, and we're off here at Marblehead Nationals, I believe, for IOM Race Week here in San Diego. This class has a long history, but these are the updated 2024 versions of the Ferraris model sailing. We've got Jess Atkins in the 56 boat out front. We've got Gene Harris in the 79 here, hugging the shore in a not sure what boat. I think Jess is sailing a Red Ant boat. I believe that's Mr. George Pedrick in the 57 boat, which he always sails unless it's IOM. Then he's sailing 157. We had a little Gene and George confusion yesterday in the IOMs. But these are big boats. These are the A rigs. They're actually a swing rig, where the whole mast rotates 180 degrees, so you get the whole sail plan perpendicular to the wind for the downwind. So these go quickly on the downwind. So we've got our Red Ant team racers out there, Jess Atkinson and Larry Grant in the 60 boat, both the orange Red Ants. Larry, the benefactor of crappy shipping, but gets another Marblehead on the water here down in San Diego. As Jess tacks to the windward mark first in the 5-6 boat. As we head upwind. Here on Thursday morning, August, I forget what the date is. August 7th? I don't know, I'll check when I go around. But this is the first race of the day, one fleet, 7 boats. It's a tough boat to travel with. George Anderson, Bruce Anderson, class secretary of this, lives in Boise, drove to Seattle, picked up Bob's boat, drove back to Boise, drove to San Diego with Bob Wells's boat. Bob came in like a rock star on his private Learjet, walks onto the water and jumps on the lake, and he's racing. So Jess Atkins out front in the 5-6, coming downwind with that swing rig. You don't see much video or pictures of these boats, so I decided to come out an extra day here, try to shoot some of the races, babble on with my verbal diarrhea, keep you guys entertained. You can laugh at all my speaking fumbles, talking fumbles, brain farts, whatever you want to call them. But Team Red Ant out front, 5-6 boat. These boats are built in Australia, top of the line boat, doing really well. There's the sister ship, Larry Grant, a few bumps and scuffs. Coming down strong is Mr. George Pedrick in the 5-7 with Gene just powering up and ooh, these boats are so big I gotta zoom out. There we go. Then we got Bruce Anderson in the middle in the 1-6 boat. And the 17 over there I believe is a Scalpel, which is a older boat but really advanced Marblehead design. I'll try to get a picture of that. And then there's Mr. Bob Wells, the pride of Seattle, representing Region 6 down here in Region 8. So Bruce and Bob, both Region 6. Jess, everybody else is Region 8. So 6 and 8, the only regions represented. So hopefully we get some more Marbleheads on the water. Make Bruce happy. Let's give Bruce a tough time registering boats as people bust out the old Marbleheads. Get them on the water. So Jeff's first to the windward marks, coming up wind as I yammer on about nothing. as I wait for my flight later on today back to Seattle. Lifestyle, the rich and famous, is over. Back to work next week. As Larry Grant putting pressure on his sponsor, Jess Atkinson. Followed by Mr. George Pedrick in 5'7", just laying in wait, waiting for any misstep from Mr. Grant. And Bruce Anderson tacks on the shore, using every bit of the width. These boats have a deep keel. Don't ask me how deep, but deeper than an IOM. Scalpel looks like it's missing the bottom edge of his sails, but I think that's so the crew can see to the leeward side of the boat. So, Bruce, the only one taking the low road, everybody else on the high road. Low road's safe, no roots, no footing issues, as our skippers do the walk. George and Gene are the iron men and iron woman of race week. They're racing every class. That would be DF95s, IOMs, Marbleheads, Odoms, and a Soling 50 to round it out. Things get a little light as we head back upwind here. As the Marbleheads do the dance. What happened to Mr. Atkinson? It's like George just powered on by when I was filming some walking. I'm sure you guys are excited about that. As we head up to the windward mark, the second time, one zone up there. 4 boat lengths, and these guys definitely longer than a minivan. So for you out there trying to estimate 4 boat lengths for model sailing, get in the circle, that's a minivan or more, average minivan. So it looks like George powering into the windward mark first. Heading over to the offset. Looks like Mr. Wells took a road less traveled, rocketed his way into second place after some last minute rigging. Got some rigging for George Pedrick. So George is regretting tuning Bob's boat at this moment as Bob breathes down George's neck. While the Red Ant boats are sent back off, one off the podium, one on the podium. Jess still hanging on to third place there. We'll see how this downwind run works. Looks like the rest are kind of close. Jess just rounding the offset. Number 17 rounding the offset. Class secretary Bruce Anderson in the 1-6 boat rounding the offset. And Gene running the sweeper position, making sure nobody gets lost, but never count Gene out. She can have some good races. As George tries to figure out where the wind's coming from. Is this downwind? Is this a reach? Is my swing rig not swinging? As Bob is powered up and moving. And Jess is powered up and moving. Bob was thinking maybe George did some sabotage on his tune on the first lap. But looks like Bob stayed left on the way up and shaved off a lot of distance. But Jess, who sailed the last 6 days in a row, is powered up past Bob and George. George gets puff into second. Things are neck and neck here. This can be close for these first 3 leaders here as we head to the windward mark, and there are some decisions to be made. Bob in the middle, in the sandwich. His fate might be decided by somebody else. as we come down to the mark rounding here. Let's guess. Let's say George goes near side, Jess goes far side, Bob is going near side, I think. All right, my predictions are true. Jess goes to the outside but tacks immediately to cover. Doesn't want to get near the island of death, the low spot over there with the little yellow flags. Boys decide to cross traffic on starboard, so they have some rights. As the fleet consolidated here, George heading to the far shore. Bob tacks early, got a good angle straight up the lake. That Pedrick Super Tune is working out for Bob. Bob is just getting the royalty treatment. Flew in, didn't need to travel this boat. Bruce kept it warm and safe for a few days, a few months. George tunes it, and now is getting beat by it. As Jess powers up the shoreline, looking to lay the finish line on our shifty winds here of San Diego Mall Yacht Pond. George is higher than everybody. Jess is going to have to tack on a starboard. George might be able to lay it, but Jess might force George to make some decisions here. Try to keep them both in frame. On my teeny tiny screen of my cheap video camera, Jess tacks on to starboard. George is stalling a little bit. Has to duck. Oh, what's going on here? Little tacking duel there. Looks like Jess gets him. Jess holds him off. George Pedrick in second in the 5-7. Bob Wells in third. The Pedrick Super Tune. Larry Grant in fourth. Got Bruce Anderson in the 1-6 boat. Trying to claw back to Larry, but I think he's going to run out of race course. As Larry's on a port tack towards the finish line. But Larry might hit the buoy. Oh, Larry's having flashbacks. Decides not to hit the buoy as he crosses the finish line. As we get the first... Uh-oh, Bruce is playing shenanigans. Tacks into a header. Trying to make it interesting for 6th and 7th place here, who are battling it out. The Scalpel versus Gene's Unknown boat. Scalpel sailing on 72 megahertz. I saw a nice chrome antenna, little flashback. Has to give room at the mark there, but Gene looks like she pulls it off. Nice job, Gene. And that's race 1 in the books.
Call 17 clear.
All right, race 2. These guys aren't messing around. All the butterflies are off, the nerves are shaken out. Boys have done their, I don't know, half-mile walk by the time you race to a race, maybe more. I'll have to count that out. As Jean comes up the inside, right behind her traveling companion, Mr. George Pedrick. Out in front, the 5.7. Jean, the 7.9. Got Larry Grant in the 6.0 boat. Hey, Red Ant called Larry. They said sail faster. As we head upwind.
Why? Because there was 2 starboard tackers, that's why. I know. One starboard, I had a tack in the room. I didn't call obstruction. I get it, but I'm going to call 1-6. 5-6, 1. We're not familiar to give room to the starboard tackers.
Not sure if I have that one on video, but we'll go review later. As Larry and Bruce argue it out on the shoreline. Starboard, giving room, time, opportunity. All our favorite subjects when discussing the rules. As George tacks on to starboard, unfortunately like 90 degrees to the direction he wants to go. He says, I will need to make some gains. I'm going to go back on port. But my God, I need some wind to make this big boat move. These Marbleheads have 5 different rigs. I forget how they number them. A1, A2, it's got a crazy numbering system, look it up, but there's 5 of them. This is the A rig, swing rig. Most everybody's got a swing rig except for the Scalpel, number 17. Sorry, I got distracted. There's a control line airplane spinning circles behind me. Sounds gas powered on the other side of the freeway here, but my model airplane days are being triggered. Look out for a plane coming at my head. But it looks like Jess Atkins, Larry Grant making it to the windward mark first. No, George Pedrick in the 5.7. Jess Atkins in the 5.6. Make the turn downwind first. George coming inside. George sees just a mirror of glass on the right side of the lake and says, I'm not going over there. George heading for the pressure. Good sailing tenet to follow. Always sail towards the pressure. Always sail towards the wind. As the Marbleheads just have the smoothest waters can be. Here at the San Diego Model Yacht Pond, race week, August something. I think it's the 7th. Maybe I'll ask the crowd. Hey crowd, what's the date today? 7th? Or the 8th? You know what day it is?
Which day is it?
Yeah, today's the 8th, August 8th. That's good. The retired guys know what day it is. That's good.
Yeah, I'm retired.
Well, I don't know which day it is. I know the date.
Yeah, 6 Saturdays and a Sunday for the retired crowd here.
It's Thursday.
Thursday. There's a discount at Denny's. That's the only reason they know it's Thursday. But back to the action. We solved the mystery. It is 8/8, August 8th, 2024. Marblehead Nationals, I believe. As George likes his tune better than Bob's tune this go round. Rocketing off the front in the Brad Gibson design grunge. Right, George? Grunge? All right. I think the newest grunge on the water. If you want one, head to a computer, pull out your credit card, and start clicking. And then see Dr. Bruce Anderson on Where to Sail. Basically anywhere at this point. We're willing to make it happen. So George off the front in the one-man breakaway. We'll see if the peloton can run him down or recycle that Tour de France material until I find some new stuff. But Bruce Anderson, the 1.6 on the inside, Jess Atkinson, and the 5.6 on the outside. Got Gene Harris in the 7.9 in the unknown stealthy black boat with the white hatch cover tape. George and Gene are racing every class here, all 5 of them this week. Death by Sailing personified, as George came to bring home the Marblehead trophy. As George negotiates some of the downwind boats on port, he's got to keep clear. Plus, when you're lead, it doesn't matter. Just don't get tangled with anybody behind you. It's usually slow. George's practice may be paying off here with the 95s and the IOMs, but George and Jess and Larry have also sailed the IOMs and the 95s. Every day is different here in San Diego, so all you can really count on is not running your boat aground is always a good strategy. George heads back upwind. Watch Peloton trying to chase him down. You got Jess Atkins in the 5.6 boat. Some little kerfluffle altercation with Bruce on the first lap. Maybe they worked it out in the 1.6 boat. Maybe not. We'll see. As the port starboard saga continues. Got Gene in the 7.9 boat. Bob Wells. Well in the first race. Bob's looking for extra wind here. Like a 270-degree tack. Keeps moving. What boats are you racing, Gene? What's the name of your boat, Gene? Bob and the 1.2, the Grunge, out of the Brad Gibson catalog. Run the BG Designs. Let's Larry Grant in the 6.0 boat. Sucking. As we head back upwind, at the 1.7 Scalpel running the 72 megahertz for all that power, overcoming the Tijuana radio stations here in San Diego. Mr. Steve Landau has a Scalpel I've seen in Corpus Christi. Looks like George made it there first. George is stretching out his lead, looking for pressure here on the near side of the lake. George heading downwind. Jess looking for power, just powering around the offset. Oh boy. Lazy cameraman here with the monopod. As we're heading downwind, George following the puff, electing to reach his way downwind, a little reachy. Keep the speed up. As the rest of the fleet still trying to get around the diabolical windward marks set by Chris Stager. So George in first. Geez, zoom the right way down. Got Jess Atkins in second. Got some action back there as Gene and Bob battle it out for fourth and fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 boats. Yep, 7 boats. Bruce Anderson in the 1/6 boat in third. Larry Grant just making it around the windward mark as George is rounding the leeward mark. So, sorry, Larry. George is punishing you. He's crushing your soul on this race. Pray for weeds, Larry. George gets there first. Jess Atkins going to be second. Let's look back, see some changes. We've got Bruce Anderson in the 1/6 boat in third. Gene Harris in the 7/9 unknown stealthy boat in fourth. Bob Wells nipping at her heels in the 1/2 boat. As I head downwind, we got Larry Grant trying out the 605 over there. 605 looks closed, but Larry's over there anyways. It's like the 1/7 boat is passing Larry and he's missing the bottom half of his sails. As George comes in, waves at the guys on the end of the pack and sails,
You know you need one of these.
sails on by. I do. I do. I should have bought Gary's. Maybe I need to go repossess it from the guy who bought it. Wasn't there a you have to sail it clause when he sold it? All right, Marblehead class always lobbying hard for competitors. But maybe these modern Marbleheads will be a West Coast thing. So we've got guys in San Diego with them, guys in the Bay Area, Mr. Bob Wells. So maybe I need to support. Maybe I can have these guys teach me how to make my IOM go fast. And I can do it. So George has crossed the finish line. The most boring racer in the fleet, beating everybody by a lap. Let's go back for some action where the grudge match between Bruce Anderson and Jess Atkinson is taking place. Only 7 sailors in the fleet and they're already at each other. But Jess in the 5/6, Bruce getting lift. He might lay the mark. Sorry, you can't see Bruce. I was looking straight at him, but not the camera. Looks like Bruce is going to pinch his way to victory over Jess for a second place finish. But who knows here at San Diego? Bruce, you better get it pointing the other way. Bruce, finish line. As Bruce tacks to starboard. Gosh darn it, this viewfinder sucks. As Bruce makes it in front of Jess. Gene powered up, making a run for the finish. Jess is low. Gene shoots the line. Just squeaks. Oh, Bruce, what happened? Oh. Bruce forgot there was a finish. Oh boy. People have been lulled into a false sense of security. Well, they're at each other's throats in the middle of the race. Now they're high-fiving and laughing. So that's how model racing goes here, folks. We like to compete, we like to be right, but at the end of the day, we usually kiss, make up, and move along because it's all about some good, fun competition, but hopefully we all leave friends at the end of the day. So let's take a look at our skippers. There they are. All right, 30 seconds to go here on the third race. of the day.
15 seconds.
I already forgot who won the first one. Maybe it was Jess, then George.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Which one did you want? 2, 1.
All right, Jess Atkins electing to run the line, sail by himself in clean air. I think his strategy is to get out front and don't let anybody pass you. As Jess in the 5-6 boat heads upwind. Bruce Anderson, Boise, Idaho, the red 1-6 boat. I believe a grunge also. Mr. Bob Wells got a head of steam on starboard, going to force his courier to duck him. As Bruce and Larry head up shore, Larry doing a depth check on the keel. He's liking his soundings. Decides not to push his luck any longer. Crossing the feet. On starboard, Bob tacks to port, says, Larry, you can race from behind. While Jess was out front, everybody reeled him in rather quickly. As George in the 5-7. Down low, got John Steiger, I believe. The 1-7 boat, Scalpel. Scalpel boat ahead of its time, from what I hear. I don't know much about it, but talk to Steve Landau if you want to learn about the Scalpel. As John tacks under George, tack back. As Marblehead mania happens here at the San Diego Yacht Pond. Larry gonna sail over and talk to Jess for some advice. Jess, how do I make this boat move? Jess says, follow me. Larry says, okay. The Red Ant racing team strategizing. Now they're off to the races. Coming in on port, Jess has to duck Bruce a little bit. As George works his way around that windward mark with a little pinch. George in the 5-7 boat making it down first. John Steger in second place. Hope I'm pronouncing that right, John. The 1-7 boat. Keeping the 72 megahertz alive. Never throw out your radio equipment. I got a whole box of it. I don't know what to do with it. So if you want some 72 megahertz. Or 75 megahertz? 75 is land use. 72 was the old airplanes, but man, the new radios are nice. Don't have to worry about channels, no clothespins, no stepping on each other. As George heads over to the 210 freeway, 210 is on the close shore here, 605 on the far shore. Looks like the 210 is open. And George just powers down. I can see my sails. I'm going to try out my swing rig. I can tune Bob's boat. I can tune my boat. And I can still beat y'all. As George Pedrick in the 5-7 Grunge is getting challenged by the Scalpel. Not sure what era the Scalpel came in out, but pretty older. 10 years? I don't know. I'm going to guess. I'll have to ask some of the guys. The Scalpel vintage, but Scalpel no swing rig. Grunge swing rig. But hey, Scalpel's in second place, and 5 more people in the peloton trying to chase him down. Not sure what the sailing equivalent is of a peloton, but that's what they look like. A bunch of guys working together, try to catch people out front, hopefully. As George Looks like he's eyeballing that outside mark. As my gosh, I hope that guy with the control line airplane runs out of gas soon. Mr. Bob Wells clips the start line buoy, but George goes outside, tacks pretty quickly because he felt like maneuvering the fleet on port. He needs a challenge. John powered up on the near shore in the 1-7 boat. Might have got a few boat links on George that go around. Let's see where they cross. As one inside, one outside. Looks like John's a little behind. He says, "I'm going to chase you down, George."
Basically down by your place all the way up to Tory Home.
As we head into the finish line, I believe. As we are 6 minutes into this race, as George tacks. Trying to read my counter there. As number 17 comes around and tacks, gets powered up. Bob Wells forcing Bruce to duck. Starboard is king. Port is nothing. Unless you're both on port. As we head back upwind, 5-7 boat. I have lost track. I have no idea if this is the finish. Well, we're still going. I don't see any of the scorekeepers running. I haven't been paying attention to how long these races are going. Looks like George is finishing. Maybe. Or we're still going to windward. I don't know. I'm lost in a fuzzy haze. So I guess we're still racing. Good thing I'm not running the show. We'll be finishing a lap early. As George Pedrick stretches his lead out over John in the 1-7 boat. And Bruce Anderson in the 1-6 boat in third place. Larry Grant figuring things out in the 6-0 boat. Maybe clawing his way into fourth over Jess. We'll see where they cross. When they come across here, as the two orange boats don't confuse each other. Yes, Larry's squeezed his way into fourth. And John has squeezed his way into first, saying, "Long live the scalpel, where's my sponsorship?" I don't even know if they make the scalpel anymore, but John's looking to win nationals so he can get a full ride from scalpel. As we head downwind, wing on wing for John, everybody else. I just got this swing rig. I don't know what to do with. The whole mast moves. I can't pick the boat up by the mast. Crazy things are happening, but Dr. Bruce, we're getting a little puff here. Looks like breeze on. Wind gods are smiling on the Marbleheads at the moment. I have no idea when you switch to another rig on these things, but this is Southern California, home of the A-rig. These rigs get numbered weird, like ABC, and then there's a B1, B2, C1, C2, C3, something like that. You need a little cheat sheet to remember your rigs in the Marbleheads. That's John in a 1-7 boat, screaming off the front. George trying to say something about it. Because I am not letting FM technology beat me. Beat me in my 2.4 megahertz, gigahertz. I don't know. I forget what the new radios are. George is smothering John, saying, "Eat my dirty air. I got a big ass swing rig, and I'm gonna just glue myself to your stern." I'm going to slow you down. But Bruce says, you know what, George, I got the same strategy on you. I'm going to slow you down. George makes a break early, heading to the outside mark. John on the inside, George on the outside, Bruce on the inside, and the red 1-6. As we head back upwind, we'll see where George and John cross. As John tacks towards the shore on a shift, back onto starboard. Looks like Bruce or George. Oh, George chooses attack. John maybe has the upper hand. Nibbling away. George a little higher, but a little. John's lured. And Bruce says, "You guys race each other, and I'll be the benefactor as you guys slow each other down. I'll just be over here in my clean air. Lovely pond sail in California." As our lone Boise representative, Idaho, Pride, Idaho, Bruce Anderson, trying to make something happen, catches himself on the wrong side of that shift, heading the wrong way down the course. Catches a little puff, a little lift, but John and George rocket upwind. John definitely not pointing as high as George. George might nip him at the finish line here, although John gets to get on the starboard first, forcing George to duck. Oh, I'm going to eat my words. We'll see George running up further. John looking for some shiftiness as I try to see my teeny tiny screen. John in the 1-7, John Steiger. Looks like he makes it. 1-7. Nice job, John. Scalpel's calling. Ask for your sponsorship. Dr. Bruce in second. Oh, what happened to George? Sorry, I was daydreaming. George went from second to fourth. Looks like Jess and Bruce benefited from something. And as Gene and Bob duke it out. I hate to say it, but Bob lost his balls right before this race. 2 small little white balls that he puts on his main sheet. So don't be thinking crazy, people. But we found one. He had 1 spare. Bob got his balls reattached to his main sheet. And now he's out there racing. As your comedian cameraman here, Gene in 6th and Bob in 7th.
40 seconds.
Put it in the side pile.
30 seconds. 20 seconds. 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Recall 1-2, recall 5-7. There we go. That's more like it. 5-7 clear, 1-2 clear.
All right. So we head up for the 4th race. Few people over early. I think Larry was hiding, got away with one, folks. He's smiling all the way to the bank. As Jess Atkins in the 5-6 boat heads upwind. In the lead, John in the scalpels. it up, give you a little different angle here. As many skippers, I don't have to hide behind the pole.
Tomorrow.
Everyone's a comedian out here. There's Mr. Reeve from the cheap seats, lobbying for B Fleet Marblehead. As everybody's clumped together here, but John squeaking out front in the Scalpel again in the 1.7 boat. John Castelli. Sorry, John, if I'm crucifying your name. But John, local sailor, I believe, down here with the Argonauts on the model yacht pond, thanking their forefathers from the 30s for designing and building this in the 40s. That greatest generation came back from World War II. It said build, build, build. Built all of Mission Bay. Great visionaries. Making places for people to play. Lots of waterways and boats here around Mission Bay. But out in front, looks like Larry Grant in the 6.0 boat, followed by John Castelli in the 1.7, Gene Harris in the 7.9, unknown hull design, maybe super secret hull from the George Pedrick stables. We need to have George do a garage tour someday, show us how many boats are in there. I'm thinking it's a lot. As Larry somehow finds a nut, as the saying goes, even a blind squirrel finds a nut now and then. As Larry rockets off the front in the 6.0 boat, and maybe Larry's first Marblehead race? I don't know. Larry, King of El Dorado, sails a lot of different boats. John Castelli is trying to give Larry some dirty air. I'll slow you down, Larry Grant. That's what you get for being in the lead. The Amazon truck jumped some speed bumps there in the parking lot. So if your package shows up damaged today in San Diego, it was compliments of your Amazon delivery driver. Go, Larry, go.
Finally, the drugs kicked in.
You're out front. Adderall's a wonderful thing. So thank God there's no drug testing here at Model Sailing. Although Gene, 7.9, the unknown hull, rocketed into second place as the skippers come on by. So we got some unusual specs out front. Out in the lead, Mr. Larry Grant starting to figure out the Marblehead. That's how we train you. We just throw you into a national championship with all the best guys in the country. Say, sink or swim, Larry Grant. Larry says, I'll take on that mission. As he makes it to the leeward mark first. Looks like Gene is going the inside, makes it second. Let's see where these boats cross. John Castelli and Jess Atkins go to the outside. Jess attacks immediately, looking for the upper hand on Gene. Looks like Larry got a lot of height on the fleet, going to that outside. Going to the outside mark, outside gate. As we head back upwind, there's John, skipper in his boat. Just not wanting to run aground, tacks away. A little quick communication. Says sail on as Jess looks for some shifts to catch up to the Red Ant stablemate. The 6.0 boat. As I head back upwind, John Steger, the scalpel, is going good. Heading upwind. Got Bruce in the 1/6 boat coming off the shore. Starboard, starboard. Jess, no fear, just bites his lip and stays on port. Makes the cross. Some of these guys have a great intuition for when you're going to cross, when you're not going to cross. Sometimes that's a tough one, especially if somebody's getting lifted. One boat going faster, one boat going slower. As we head back upwind again, as we're 7.5 minutes into this race. Going up for the second time. There's a big pole there. If you ever come to San Diego, you feel free to walk into that metal pole. It's kind of like an initiation. kind of bongs like a gong every time somebody hits it. But you haven't been to San Diego till you've walked briskly into that pole. You got a little root at your foot there too, just to trip you into the pole. If you're going to miss the pole, you can trip on that root and fall into the pole. So one of the fine obstacles brought to you by an uneven shoreline. But Larry Grant still out front. As Larry adding a little distance, got John 1/7 boat, wing and wing. No swing rig for me on the scalpel. Scalpel threw a lot of other technologies at their boat, but not a swing rig. As Jess Atkins powered up a little bit on the outside. Looks like he's passing John a little faster downwind, maybe a little hotter angle. Let's take a look at Larry all by himself out front. Rest of the fleet, final four. It's not March Madness, it is August 8th. Got Bob Wells, Bruce Anderson, George Pedrick, Gene Harris. Looks like the excitement might be for second and third, unless Larry has a seizure, which is a possibility for any of us model sailing. The Marblehead crowd is growing. Look at this Marblehead crowd. We've got stadium seating here. The Marblehead crowd just on the edge of their seats. I think they all showed up for free lunch, to tell you the truth. A little break after this race as Larry elects to power through the fleet on starboard. Now he's going to try to pass some boats on port, see if he can foul somebody. Decides not to foul Gene, so Larry carries on. I got a little split back here for second and third. John taking the near beach route, tacks on the starboard. Maybe can force Jess to do some maneuvering. Jess got a lot of maneuvering to do. He's got to miss Gene on port. He's got to catch up with John, pass John, and pass Larry. Which Jess is powering up the shoreline, riding this puff for as long as he can. As long as the keel will let him. He decides that's as long as my keel will let me. It looks like he got a few boat links on John. John's not giving up. The scalpel. Maybe he can ride the same puff that Jess did. As John heads upwind here. The 1/7 boat stalls out a little bit as Jess powers on. John's like, I gotta get off this shore before I run aground. That is, unless we're gonna load beer on the boat. But nobody's got tiny beers for the RC. John tacking immediately. Fortunately, I think that's going to hand it to Jess for second, but Larry Grant maybe in the middle of a seizure up there, as Jess really reeled him in. Larry known for hitting the marks on a finish. He decides to go within 6 inches of that one just to tempt fate. So that's Larry's first bullet. Looks like Jess Atkinson has rifled John back to third or more, as Mr. Bob Wells is powering up the middle. This finish line looks like it's the world's hardest finish line to cross, as Jess gets across in second. John coming in hot, shoots the line. Looks like Bob gets fourth out of the deal. Gene in fifth, Bruce in sixth, and George, who actually won a race, is back in the 5/7 in 7th place. Time for lunch.
Second. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. 15 seconds.
So you coming in there, Bob? With your drink?
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, lunch break over. Skippers are all fueled up. They're carbo loading for the marathon that is Marblehead IOM sailing. As we head upwind,
I do. Why? Well, 17. I overturned 4. Touched my stern.
all right. Some rules lessons on port starboard. As Red Ant, orange 60 boat, a Larry Grant heads upwind, followed by George Pedrick, who made some adjustments on the brake to tighten up the leech on his jib, so watch out. George thought he was losing a little power in the puffs as maybe that leech opening up, so I think he added a little tension, making it work. John Castelli in the 1.7 Scalpel 1998 vintage. Did a quick interview in the break. Heading upwind. As all right, sorry, a little earthquake. Everyone's safe. Nobody had to duck under any tables. Camera's back on now. Same race, nothing changed. Well, maybe. Let's see, sorry folks. There you go. Jess Atkins in the 5.6 boat out front. We'll try not to do the earthquake. Oh, FedEx truck now jumping the speed bumps as they head around the horn here. The Mall Yacht Pond. 6-0 boat, a Larry Grant. Powered up. So we got Red Ant, Grunge, Scalpel. Steve Landau, where's your Scalpel? Was looking for another trip. Looking for another trip to, where are we? Southern California. We know this is Steve Landau's favorite place to sail. Says all great skippers are born out of the San Diego Mall Yacht Pond. Designed in the 30s, built in the 40s. I think we need to build a new one. It's only been about 80 years later. I think we've learned a little more about building ponds. Control area is nice flat control area. Maybe a place to launch your boat without getting your feet wet. As the Red Ant,
It's Team Orange.
Red Ant sponsor video here. First and second place here at the Marblehead Nationals, as Brad Gibson Grunge has something to say about it. Bob Wells at the helm. Bob Wells at the tiller, the helm, the wheel, all the above, the sticks, I guess, in model sailing, as Bob tries to run down the Australians. So we got Jess Atkins in front, sold the boat to Larry Grant in second, who invited their friend Bob Wells from Washington to sail in third. George Pedrick, who likes to pack a minivan as tight as he can pack it, in fourth. Gene Harris and George Pedrick Minihan Mayhem in fifth. She gets passed by the 1998 Scalpel in her 1990 vintage Paradox. But now Bruce Anderson in the Grunge has something to say about it. The 1-6 says, "Hey guys, I'm the class secretary. Maybe I should win a race. I do a lot of extra work for you guys, keeping the pond safe for Marbleheads." As Jess Atkins is going to pick his way through the fleet on port. Larry says, "I like risky behavior. I'm going to do the same thing." As John is on starboard. Yeah, downwind starboard against upwind port. Take that, Larry. But everybody gets away unscathed as our second trip upwind after the start. 5-6 Marblehead of Jess Atkinson, formerly of Northern California, now lives in Vista, Southern California. Came down to show these kids how to sail. As Larry Grant on his hip, trying to learn a few things. The King of El Dorado. El Dorado is not helping Larry now. I think Marbleheads are outlawed on our El Dorado. Too deep a keel, catches on everything. As Bob Wells on starboard, trying to catch up to Larry. Powering up as my feet get more and more sunburned. Let's check back in on George in the 5-7 boat. The leech adjustment got himself just fast enough to beat the Scalpel of John Castelli in the 1-7 boat. Now as Bruce tries to power up his grunge, the red grunge, 1-6. All Bruce's boats are red. All Bruce's boats are 1-6. If you want to really screw Bruce up, make him sail a boat that's not 1-6. And Gene Harris in the Paradox in the 7-9, rounding out the fleet. Back to the Red Ant Team Sailing Productions of Jess Atkinson and what's his name? LG, Larry Grant, making model sailing great again. Jess runs over to shore, says, "I'm coming in on starboard. I'm coming in with weeds on my keel, and I'm still going to beat you guys." Got Bruce with the Boise cowboy hat, keeping his ears safe from the UVs. Larry doing the tack install with George. Larry says, "Well, maybe when in doubt, point at the mark." George says, "I'm going with the pressure. I'm going to point away from the mark." Larry says, "George, I think you're right. I'm going to find some pressure." George says, "Eat my starboard, Larry. Eat it. Duck it." Yeah, duck that starboard, Larry. As George comes firing into the mark, just making it ahead of Larry. So team sailing event is over. The Grunge is in the house, snuck into second place behind Jess Atkinson in our light air. Marblehead Olympics. Paris going on right now. We got breakdancing in the Olympics. Why not model sailing? Somebody needs to go lobby that. Might happen by the year 3024. Larry going over the 605, maybe the middle of 605, maybe he's on the 10 or the 15, maybe the 405. Looks like he's parked on the 57 at the moment. Maybe in the Orange Crush where the 405 and the 5 come together, where all good cars come to park. Feel a little breeze in my face, nothing on the boats other than Dr. Bruce powering up around the offset in the 1.6 boat. And Mr. Bob Wells, clean living out of Seattle, Washington, takes the lead. Says, you know what? Brad Gibson is my man. I sail a grunge. I'm grunging for the win. Got BG boat, BG sails. Take your Australian exchange rate and buy another Red Ant. In all seriousness, they're all good boats, folks. Just joking around, trying to fill the dead air. You try yapping about nothing for 7 days. But Mr. Wells powered up, going. Oh, but Mr. Atkinson and the Red Ant going faster. I spoke too soon. Larry Grant questioning his injury as he threw his boat into his calf. We're going to have to stitch him up after the event. Bruce Anderson in the 1.6 in 4th. 5.7 George Pedrick in 5th. John Castelli in 6th. As we head downwind, Mr. Bob Wells, Bruce Anderson's roommate for a couple days because Bob's got the concierge service. Hey Bruce, drive my boat to San Diego. Hey Bruce, bring my boat to the pond. Hey Bruce, bring your trailer so I got a place to sleep. Hey Bruce, let's race together so I can beat you. And then, hey Bruce, can you bring my boat home? But anyways, there's always a way to make it happen here, folks. If you want to sail, we can get your boat, we can bring it to the pond, we can help you tune it, we can put your batteries in it, we can even take your money. But model sailing is great fun. Got the American Model Yachting Association trying to keep it together. Got lots of clubs across the nation doing club racing. This San Diego Argonauts event is really one of a kind. They're racing 5 different boats over a week and a half. As Bob heads upwind, Gene and the Paradox heading downwind. You got to get there first, though, Bob. That's the only way it's a finish. You got Jess Atkins stalling out. As Bob prays for wind, trying to hold off the Red Ant army. But Larry Grant's human sacrifice in the parking lot this morning is paying off as the wind comes to his boat. I think it makes it to Bob's boat, as the Marblehead guys like to make it exciting. They don't want to run away with it. Bob Wells is powered up again, heading towards the finish. So's Larry. Larry's got something to say about it. Be lots of action here between these two boats as the rest of the fleet tries to chase them down. Maybe as they screw around with each other. Looks like Larry's footing off a little bit, trying to go a little faster, make some gains, maybe some lift to make the line. Bob says, I'm going to stay on my lay line because I'm going to win this thing on port. Larry, you can have all the second you want. Oh, Larry, Bob, don't pitch up too hard. Bob falls off, powers up. Larry falls off. Dan learns how to aim the camera as Bob hangs on for the bullet. Nice job, Bob. Larry, great comeback. Way to claw back. Don't hit the mark, Larry. Just get across safely. Okay, good. 3 foot room on those marks, Larry. Don't go close to it again. All right, looks like Bruce Anderson, a 1.6. He's going to be on the starboard first here. See if he can reach across, ease it out, power up. All right, pull it in, point it up. Looks like Bruce is going to sneak in there for third. Nice, sailing a nice course. Way to go, Bruce. Jess for fourth. John Castelli in the Scalpel for fifth. George Pedrick in sixth.
I will give you a finish on the water.
20 seconds.
All right, 20 seconds to go.
15 seconds.
Marblehead's on the water.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, Mr. Anderson doing his sneak attack, full throttle, drop her down, hammer the committee boat, and a go technique that we saw in the IOM fleets, and he that spits him out in front.
Yes. I'm coming out.
And George Pedrick's first to the near shoreline. Tack's heading upwind. Bruce says, I got you on port. I'm going to continue on. Locals beating up on Bob. Say, Bob, do a penalty turn. Bob's like, Jess, you're bigger than I am. I guess I'll do the turn. As we head upwind, Bob win the last race? And Bob got the bullet on the last race, so they're giving him a little penalty turn love on this race. See if Bob can claw his way back out of the hole. As 6-0 boat crossing everybody on starboard. George tacks. Looks like Bruce lost some distance in the 1.6 boat. Had the start, had the first couple tacks. Maybe some other guys caught the shifties. Said, get back in line. As Marblehead Mania continues here in San Diego. One-day event. Big boats. 7-boat fleet. We need 7 more. So let's get 7 of your friends. Come out. We'll have 14 at the next event. And once you get 14, you ask another friend, then you get 28. After you get 28, you ask another one of your friends, you get 56. After you get 56, you double again, you're up to 112. Then you double again, you're up to 224. Double again, you're up to 448, and so on, and so on, and so on. It sounds like a pyramid scheme, but it's really not, folks. Just model boat sailing. You might be able to buy one from Amway soon. George and Larry around the offset first. George staying high to the outside in our southwest wind. As the boats come right at me. Things that are slow motion. Might want to write these back. Play these videos back at 4x speed. 3 minutes and 47 seconds into this race. As They go past the Gary Bowl Memorial pole. That's Gary. I think Gary hit that pole more than anybody during the IOM event. But Gary still managed to get on the podium, hitting the pole and all. Relocate here. See if I can see a little better. So you don't have to look at the Gary Bowl pole. As George, who went to the outside, snuck up ahead as he angles in towards the leeward marks. As the Marblehead boys march downwind. Team Red Ant having a little conference over here saying, hey, we need to represent, we need some sponsorship. George, seeing the shift, big left shift. It's a reach, guys. Reachy downwind, straight out of the south right now. So folks who noticed that first, getting a little extra oomph. George's spidey senses saw the shift. That's a 5-7 boat out front.
Look, you guys, lighten up, will ya?
The crowd's going wild over there, entertaining themselves. They're solving some world problems over there, which usually gets done at model sailing events. As George parks, John Castelli powers up, says, hey George, 1998 Scalpel is the way to go. So far we've had, I think every boat hole win a race. So John looks like he's going to make it first. Heading to the outside mark, saying no swing rig for me. 1998 Scalpel. They're all black and yellow, carbon fiber as I can tell. Clear carbon fiber. 80s and the 90s, we loved our carbon fiber. It was expensive stuff back then. Consequently, the Marblehead class said no to carbon fiber mast, much to everybody's chagrin. We saved some money. We got to deal with a big aluminum pre-bendy mast. As John heads upwind, says my Scalpel will slice you to pieces. We got Jess Atkinson in the 5-6 boat, followed by Larry Grant 6-0. Bob Wells, Bob Penalty Turn Wells in the 1-2 boat, saying I'm clawing my way back. George says, hey, what about me? I was first to the windward mark. Now you guys treat me like this, making me work hard. Bruce, who won the start and a couple of the first tacks, said I'm run aground. There's a keel check by Bruce Anderson. Gives her a little shove back on the water. As we head back upwind, walk this way a little bit. All right. As John sailing a little low and fast in the Scalpel. Better than low and slow. Low and fast is okay. High and slow can be okay. In the middle can be okay. And it comes down to tactics. But Jess Atkinson heads over, trying to see if he can make that windward mark on port. As a bunch of other skippers head over to come in on starboard. Looks like Jess will make it right behind John. As John in the 1-7 boat in first. Jess Atkinson in the 5-6 boat in second. Take him wide and fast. Larry Grant crawling around in third. Mr. Bob Wells, Mr. Bob Penalty Turn Wells says, I can do turns and still hit the podium. As Bob finds a way in the 5-6 boat. That's the sound you hear. And Gary Bowl hits the post. That's what you hear. So you hear that sound, you know somebody hit the post here at the Model Yacht Pond. As Jess trying out the 605. How's 605 doing over there, Jess? Maybe open. Maybe powered up. Wind looks like it's coming right down the pipe from my little streamer here. John sailed into the doldrums in the 1-7. Larry says, nice knowing you, John, but I'm going to swing on by you in the 6-0 boat. George Pedrick powered up again, saying, oh, I'm back in it. I'm back in the mix. And I'm to Bob Wells. Bob was powered up, sailed into a hole. Looks like he's back in 5th place. Got the 7-9 boat. Paradox, number 79, Gene Harris. At the controls, seeing if she can make something happen. As Gene and Bob are in a puff. That puff will soon reach our leaders too. As Jess tries to hang on to the lead. Got the 5-7, the 6-0, the 1-7, all saying, I'm going to smother you, Jess. Smother you, slow you down. Try to slingshot on by. Do some NASCAR moves. Days of Thunder stuff happening out here. As we Jess Atkinson making it to that leeward mark for the last time of this race. Tacks right away. Says I'm going to drive straight up the lake. Maybe I can lay the finish line. Nope. Yes. No. Just thinking about it. A little indecision. Thought there was a shift. Decided to slow down. Reel the other guys in. So we can take care of both of them. Cover both of them at once. Got Mr. Pedrick, who went to the inside mark, seeing if we can make that work. Mr. Bob Wells on the outside mark, who was in it and then out of it. See if he can get back in. As we watch the leaders, oh no, Jess in his own wind right now. The 5-6 boat, heading upwind. His teammate says, John, I'm going to eat a little red ant, dirty air to my leeward. John says, Larry, you keep clear of my boat because I got rights right now. Unfortunately, I can't point as high as you, but John's going to try. Stay clear, Larry. Stay clear. Oh, did John make Larry luff a little bit? He sure was trying. Larry's to keep clear, but Larry seeing if John's going to flinch. John falls off, looking for some speed. John's on starboard, unfortunately. The other boats smothered all that. I'm going to say Jess got it. Oh, Bob must have snuck his way into second. Or no, George. Bob found his way to the back of the fleet. Bob, what are you doing? All right. As we work hard here at the Model Yacht Pond. Tough sledding here. Hitting the shifts. Gene crosses. Is Bruce not finished yet? Bob on starboard, Bruce on starboard, nobody moving. "14-minute, 5-second race here on the Marbleheads." Looks like Bruce is maneuvering for his dip and go start. Committee boat in.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Bruce a little early. Ah, Larry. Over early. And we're off. In race 7, I believe. Race 7, Mr. Bob Wells, Seattle, Washington. Bob, EC-12 sailor, IOM sailor, published a few books on the EC-12. Bob's now a DF-95 sailor. Quite frankly at the top of the leaderboard. A lot of our club racing up on Lake Washington. As Bob looking for some Marblehead glory to add to his award cabinet. As I try some sit-down filming. I think I gotta move it over here. On my right hand. Hoping we don't experience another Southern California earthquake. As big southerly shift, big left shift. Got everybody reaching up the pond. A little drag race. I think they shortened the course here, so now they're using the finish line as an offset or a windward mark and an offset. That last race took about 15 minutes. We'll see. We're about a minute 20 seconds into this one. As Mr. Wells in the 1-2 boat for the 1-2 punch rounds in first. George Pedrick is a tuner for the weekend. The 5-7 in second. I was just squeaks up and over. Get around the offset in third. His racing mate Larry Grant, the 6-0 boat, heading up there. As sorry, got reading glasses, no glasses, and contacts. I got every kind of vision correction known to man here. As Mr. Wells in the 1-2 boat, heading down with George Pedrick to his windward, powered up and going. Grunge versus grunge. Bay Area versus Washington. As George Pedrick scrambles ahead as I scramble to hold the camera in the right place. Alright, maybe this will work. As Bob and George look like they're eyeing up different marks. Looks like George's heading outside, Bob's heading inside, kind of by default. Bob, all you gotta do is come up a little. Come up a little. A little more. A little more. There we go. Yep, George on the outside, Bob on the inside. We'll see where they cross. Most exciting thing in sailing. Which side pays? As George comes around, tacks on the port. Bob's on the port. Thinking that outside mark pays right now, as George has rocketed up the course with our big southerly shift. That was a good decision by George to the windward. Bob trying to recover from his life choices in the 1-2 boat. As Jess Atkins in the 5-6 goes the outside. John Castelli in the 1.7 on the outside. Larry Grant 6.0 on the outside. Bruce Anderson in the 1.6 on the inside. Gene Harris in the Paradox in the 7.9 boat. Going to the outside. Oh, Bob trying to. Whoa! Where? I lost Bob. Where's Bob? There he is. Bob in the 1.2 boat. That's the tack. 90 degrees for the course. Get a little height. We get back in our reaching race. Yeah, it's Jess Atkinson. There's Larry Grant. There's Bruce Anderson. As we head upwind, there's Gene Harris. Now the sit down filming may or may not work. There's the pole of Gary Bowl. As Sir George Pedrick has already made the windward, already made the offset, and the second place boat is not even there yet. As George says, I'm learning a thing or two, guys. I'm sailing here every single day of race week. Iron Man of race week. Gene Harris, Iron Woman of race week, sailing every boat. Odoms, Solings, IOMs, Marbleheads, DF95s. Living the dream, lifestyle of the rich and famous. Bob Tax on the starboard there. Looking for the offset. George way up front right there. George doing well. Let's see. Mr. Bob Wells finally rounding the offset. Jess coming in hot. Bob thinks he's sailing to the pressure, but sails right into hull. A little too much ruddering. I see a little texture on the water. The streamer on the bowl pole says it's coming from the left, which is south. Says I'm on a reach. George says I'm running off the front. You guys come and catch me. George, gonna buy some lottery tickets. And everybody, what is that, a gaggle of boats? Flock of boats? Is that a murder of boats? What do you call a bunch of boats? A flotilla? A regatta? I don't know. But Larry Grant, as I told you before, did do a human sacrifice in the driveway for wind. Wearing an expertly designed orange DF95 Region 6 National Championship shirt, held up in Seattle to match his boat today. Jess Atkinson in the 5.6 boat, powered up. So the Red Ant's got a little on Bob coming downwind. Bob's a fighter though, he's not going to give up. He's fresh off the plane from Seattle yesterday, adjusting to the San Diego time zone. Bob's claiming jet lag. Everybody says, we don't believe it, Bob. That was George Pedrick in the 5.7 sails upwind. Everybody else still downwind. As we head to the windward marks for the second time. Maybe the third time. Who knows? George at the head of the parade, saying, follow me, guys. Let's see. Let's see if George slows up and makes it interesting for everybody else. I don't think so. I don't think so. There's no lead long enough at the pond.
That's true.
Keep the hammer down, George. Don't let up. Because Bob's powered up and coming. Let's see, is Larry Grant's in second, but Larry looks like he's sailing into shiny, shallow water versus Bob's dark deep water, although Bob just stalls a little bit. And Bob has a nice little masthead telltale up there, probably telling him which way the wind's going. Larry struggling to figure out which way the wind's going. Doing the 90-degree tack just to say hi to Bob. Bob says, Larry, nice to see you, but I'm gone. I'm heading towards the finish line and the race committee. As Bob heads upwind, the 1-2 boat. Jess Atkinson in the 5-6 boat, right on Bob's hip. Larry Grant, the 6-0 boat, coming in hot. Looks like he's footing off a little. Larry says, I read a book on VMG. I know all about it. I watched a YouTube video last night, so I must be an expert. But Bob comes from the era before YouTube. We actually had to publish a book. Couldn't just self-publish. As Bob, though, is all Bob. Bob, you should have stayed on starboard and give those guys the business. Oh no. Pushing Bob to the beach. Bob comes back around, hoping for a puff. Hoping for a puff. Zoom in. Looks like Larry might have got the best of Bob, but no, maybe Bob got it. Bob got second. Nice job, Bob. They tried to give you the business. Said, not on my shift. John Castelli in the 1-7 boat, and what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bruce Anderson in 6th. Gene Harris in 7th. The 7-9 boat. Paradox. Oldest boat in the fleet. She's going against some new Ferraris. Who throwed money at the problem, because nothing goes upwind like money. But you can still compete. Alright, it's Marblehead maneuvering for you at the start line. Pretty light breeze, A-rigs,
15 seconds.
shifty, normal San Diego stuff.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Boy, I'm struggling to get going. Mr. Atkinson tacking on to port first, going for the reach up the lake as the Windy does some shifting. As we head upwind, got the skippers. This, I guess, when you do the sit-down video, this is what you get. You get to see the skippers jockeying for visual position. John Castelli in the 1-7 trying to cover the fleet in his 1998 Scalpel. Bob Wells looking for an answer again in the 1-2 boat. Jess Atkinson first to port. Ooh, got some breeze on, folks. Breeze on. Yeah, some Marbleheads head upwind. Oh, Dan, point the camera in the right direction. Sorry, folks. You get what you pay for. An unskilled cameraman, mediocre intelligence. Looks like Larry tacks on to starboard. Says, eat my starboard. Links up with his running mate as they fall off the wind. Oh, that was the offset. What am I saying? Switch the windward marks to the start line, kind of shorten the course a little bit. Took them a minute and a half, 2 minutes to get up there. There's a little bit of a hole up there, too many trees. San Diego Parts Department, if you want to do some selective trimming. Probably be a good idea, as you're ruining your purpose-built model yacht pond by disrupting the wind. Some selective pruning would help on that north end. As Mr. Jess Atkinson squirts out in front, followed by Larry Grant, the 6-0. Got a lot of boats pretty close right now. George Pedrick in the 5-7, who ran off with the last race, coming down the inside, going down the 210. On the north side of the lake. As, oh man, I don't know how to hold the camera. All right, George trying to cover the entire fleet single-handedly. Team Red Ant, the orange boats. Jess in the 5-6, Larry in the 6-0. George goes the outside, which is probably the good move, given these conditions, and the left shifts. Kind of puts you to the windward of everybody else. But yet still a few takers on the inside, probably because that was good for the 95s, but maybe not good for the Marbleheads. As just going to that outside mark gets you some automatic height. What is that? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boat lengths probably of height. As George leads the parade, 5-7 boat. Jess Atkinson on his hip in the 5-6 boat. Bob Wells in the 1-2 boat. Third. As Bob's a little higher than everybody. Bob Point and Machine Wells. Bob Point and Machine Penalty Turn Wells. Yep. Chef just tacking into shift, just saying, "Oh, Bob, I'll go after you." Bob, the 1-2 boat, sneaks into second on that unfortunate shift on Mr. Atkinson. As George Pedrick is doing George things. 5-7 boat heading upwind in first place, but Bob Wells in the 1-2 boat with quite a bit of speed and height, heading straight to that windward mark. Looks like Bob's going to get there first. George has to tack. Tacking into the shift again. Bob says, "Follow me." I wrote the book on the EC12. As Bob screams to the offset. Keep it powered up, Bob. Smooth turn, smooth, smooth, smooth. Think smooth. Oh, Bob. Little jerk at the end, says, "I'm going over to the pressure." Saw that shiny, glassy water to the right. Jess says, I'm going over there." As the whole fleet comes together here, as they go past the bull pole. Hidden behind the bull pole, Mr. Bob Wells in the 1-2 boat. Mr. Jess Atkinson in the 5-6 boat. Not to be confused with the Atkins diet. And we also got George Pedrick Racing, Richmond, California. Richmond Point, I think, technically. The 5-7 boat. Powered up in third, but going a little slow compared to Bob and Jess. Moving a little faster. Bob in the 1-2 boat, Jess in the 5-6 boat. Sorry. Maybe just stay out front here. Bob looking the inside. I don't know, Bob, I think that outside pays. Got to go to that outside mark, which he might have to give Jess room if he does that. It's for Larry Grant finding his own wind back here. Where's Larry? There he is. Leaving a big boat wake. But, I don't know, Bob's figured out a way. Bob and Jess. Heading upwind, Bob on the inside, Jess on the outside. I'm thinking Jess is going to get it from picking that outside gate. But Mr. Ben Reeves over here, this fancy camera, taking some large format pictures. Oh no, well, I stand corrected. Bob got the best of Jess on that one.
Again. Yeah, Bob passed.
I thought Jess was going to have it on the outside, but I stand corrected. Well, we'll see. Bob on a port tack. Jess going going sideways on a starboard tack. Sorry, Jess, didn't mean to laugh, but I got my ass kicked the last 3 days out there, doing very similar things. Bob being the polite Seattle. Oh no, low battery, folks. Low battery. Low battery. Low battery. We're gonna hang in there. We're gonna hang in there. Low battery. Get to the finish line, somebody. Low battery. Oh no, I needed my batteries closer. They're not. Still low. Bob in the lead. Jess in second, but oh, George making a run up the inside. I'm not going to hit the zoom because that probably consumes some more battery. Low battery. Get me to the finish, please, battery gods. Please, battery gods. Bob, high. And on the outside, coming in hot. Oh, a little luffing from Bob, a little fall off, a little power up. Bob coming in on port. Oh, having to fall off more. Having to fall off more. Is Bob gonna have to tack? Jess is gonna have to tack. Low battery. Sorry, I can't zoom. It'll use the battery. Oh, but Bob gets it. Gets it in first. Little battle for second.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, here we are after our second break of the day of Marblehead Mania in San Diego Mall Yacht Pond as we head upwind. Big southerly shift. Got some starboard rounding action going on. You're going to see it all here from San Diego this week. As Jess Atkinson fires up the front, I try my sit-downs filming technique. Got Ben Reeve over here with some large format filming photography, going old school as these guys reach upwind for a starboard rounding, folks. This is like a unicorn getting model sailors to do a starboard rounding. When you tell them you're doing starboard roundings, people freak out. They have no idea how to turn right. They only know how to turn left, but it looks like they figured it out, folks. These Marblehead guys are smart. Got a seagull on the course, pecking away at the buoys out there as George Pedrick and Jess Atkinson reach downwind as Jess trying to get a little height. As we head downwind, looks like Jess is shot out into first. Mr. George Pedrick, 57 boat, second. Larry Grant, 60 boat, in third. Gene Harris, 79, Paradox, 1990 edition. Heading downwind with wet feet, wet soggy feet. Footwear is a big deal here if you ever come to the Seattle Mall Yacht Pond. You got to get wet, you got sand, you got roots. Some people wear neoprene socks, some people go barefoot, some people get blistered to death. As Jess Atkins goes to the outside mark, I'm pretty sure everybody's going to go to the outside mark on our reachy starboard rounding course. I guess is one way to play the game, but you gotta sail what Mother Nature gives you. But you know, you could have a leg here. It did go upwind. Wanted some tacking, could be exciting. Short enough to see the other side. Kind of the tough thing setting these courses is figuring out how to get a square start line, or you go to the Sail GP and just reach at full speed to weather mark, then head upwind. To a rounding and then downwind, but it'd be little short mini legs, especially with the Marblehead, so that would be craziness. As I sit here and bake in the sun, as Jess Atkins tacks upwind to his starboard rounding. So he's on port, no rights. This depends when you get in the circle first. George in the 5'7" boat. Larry Grant, 60 boat. Starboard rounding. Gene Harris in 4th place in the 7'9", Paradox. Coming up on port, looking like she's going to cross them both. She'll be on starboard. Starboard and leeward. Oh my gosh, Dan, get the focus right. That's first, second, and third. Around the offset, head downwind. Gene heads upwind. Heading for starboard rounding. So I get distracted by John Castelli, 17 boat coming into shore. Has a talk with the crew, sends them back out. Looks like Bruce coming in for a pit stop. 2 pit stops on this race. Wonder what the pit stop's for. Maybe he picked up some weed. What are you doing out there, Bruce? Oh. Bruce pulls his boat. As we head downwind.
Bruce, you okay? Yeah, give me a TNF. I just popped it on.
Bruce having a little mechanical Pulls his boat to fix it. George leading the parade, backup wind on port. Gene trying to track him down. Gene on starboard, follow the rights in the world. Starboard leeward. As first, second, and third upwind. Gene in fourth place, going downwind. As George is powered up. Herd of hurdles walk on by. That's George in the 5-7, tries to hold off Team Red Ant. Team Red Ant is Jess Atkinson in the 5-6 boat, Larry Grant 6-0 boat.
Julie's filming. Come here.
Yeah, Hollywood in progress. That's okay, it makes it more interesting.
Walk on the other side of him.
This is my lazy man filming, sitting in the chair. Like George gets in there for first. One of the Team Red Ants.
This is the starting line.
Coming in second, that's Mr. Jess Atkinson in second. Larry Grant third.
Blinking signal. What they call the leeward mark. So you have to go between those two around in the direction.
Gene in the Paradox coming in at fourth. Just sending Bob Wells to the woodshed. Nice job, Gene.
There was one that you
No, you're fine.
They were big,
It's a good turn.
keel. So that's why it's not falling over. It has a big weight on it.
Bob's got a firm grip on fifth place here. As Bob heads upwind. The 1-2 grunge. Followed up by John and the 1-7 in our reachy starboard rounding course. You saw it here first, folks.